English by the Nature Method, Chapter 32, the 32nd chapter. A Trip Up the River. The next day Mr. Miller proposed a trip up the river Thames, to Hampton Court Palace. This is the palace. We can go down to Westminster Bridge. This is the bridge, he said, and take the boat from there. That's the boat. Westminster Bridge is one of the many bridges that go across the river and connect North London with South London. We can go across the river to look at that part of the town some other day. When they got on board, they noticed a board on which were given the names of the different places where the boat was going to. They walked across to read the notice on the board, and Brown noticed that the boat was going to Oxford, the town in which the great English university is situated. Mr. Miller explained to them that there are thousands of students from all over the world who study at this old university, and that they are taught by a great many professors. After having read the notice, he said, "It seems that every day during the spring and summer there is a boat to Oxford. It must be a lovely trip up the river." Wood said, "I propose that we try the trip. It isn't very far to Oxford, is it?" "No, it isn't far to Oxford. A train will take you there in an hour and a half, and yet by boat the trip takes 2 days. The train goes in an almost straight line, while the river makes many bends, as most rivers do. That's a straight line, and a line with bends. Although London is connected with Oxford by the river, yet it is mostly tourists who make the trip to Oxford by boat. The steamer goes so slowly that they have time to see everything, and at night the boat stops at a town, and the tourists go ashore to sleep at a hotel. The first thing they noticed when the boat had started was a big place with a big palace on the right bank of the river. "What palace is that?" asked Storm. "Does the king or some other person of the royal family live there?" "That's the king." "No, it is not used by the royal family. It is called Lambeth Palace." A little farther up the river, just after a bend, they passed under Putney Bridge, and Mr. Miller told them about the great boat race which takes place every year between students from the universities of Oxford and Cambridge. That's the boat race. The boats start at Putney Bridge and go as far as Mortlake, which is about 4.5 miles farther up the river. The men in each boat do all they can to make the boat get there first. The young men were very surprised to hear that the boat race takes only about 20 minutes. Some time later they came to Kingston on Thames. It is a very old town, and as the name tells us, it has something to do with kings. It means the king's town. About 1200 years ago, the old Saxon kings were crowned here. Mr. Miller said to the young men, "Do you know where the English kings are crowned nowadays?" he asked. "Oh, yes, we know that all right," they all replied. "It's at Westminster Abbey." The last time an English king was crowned there, we read all about it in the newspapers, and from the many pictures that were taken we were able to see how it was done. It was very interesting to see all the people in the fine silk clothes, some of them with crowns upon their heads. One would think that they were pictures from very old times, and not pictures of something taking place in modern times. So this is a picture, and that's a crown. They had now got past Kingston. On their way up the river they passed many small boats from which people were finishing in the river, and on the banks of the river they also saw many people fishing. Every time the steamer passed one of the boats The man in the boat looked up and shouted angry words at them. "Why are they so angry?" Wood asked. "I can see that you have never been fishing," Brown said to him. "When a boat like this passes, all the fish go away, and then the men in the boats do not catch any fish." "Do they catch many fish here?" he asked Mr. Miller. "No, I don't think so." "There are fish enough in the river, but there are too many boats passing up and down the river all the time. But I don't understand why they get so angry. They must know that there are steamers going up and down the river all day, so that there is nothing to be so angry about. They had better go to a quieter place to fish. I once did some fishing here with a friend. We spent a whole day on the river, and at the end of the day I had caught only one small fish, 3 inches long." They arrived at Hampton Court after a short time, and went up to look at the palace. It is situated very beautifully in some gardens. They stood for a long time looking at the lovely flowers, and especially at a long straight walk with many beautiful flowers on both sides. In some parts of the palace, people may go in and look at the rooms and all that is in them. Everything is left just as it was hundreds of years ago. Most of the things in the palace are connected with the Tudor and Stuart kings and queens, especially with Queen Anne, the great Stuart Queen of England. This is a queen, the wife of the king. One of the things which interested them very much was Queen Anne's bedroom. "You can see," Wood said to the others, "that women were the same then as now," and he showed them all the things that the Queen had used to make herself beautiful. Excuse me. When it was time to go home, Mr. Miller proposed taking a bus straight back to London, as far as Wimbledon. From Wimbledon they could go by tram to Westminster Bridge. "That's the bus. If we go that way," he said, "we shall be able to see much of South London from the windows." They all thought this is a good idea, and consequently they went back by bus and tram as Mr. Miller proposed.